difference. I mean, we don't see heat index levels up to 115 in parts of the area. That's why the heat's not at the extreme levels. What you see on the temperature map, we're not too far off as far as the feels like temperature goes. We did have one isolated shower. We found it. Had to look close, but Shelby County, we had one little shower that popped up. Even north of Anniston, I believe around Hoax Bluff, we had a couple sprinkles there. But that was about it. And we're going to stay dry for the rest of this evening. Maybe a couple of isolated stray pop-ups tomorrow and for the rest of the week. But it looks like by the weekend we'll start to see a better chance for some of those afternoon thunderstorms. But a very, when you look at the rain chances, I mean, this is very typical of this time of the year. Going towards August, you start to work in towards that second half of summer. It starts to trend a little bit drier in many cases. But we're going to show you more on the 7-day forecast. We'll get into those rain chances. Lots of updates coming up right here on First Alert Weather Extra. We update you on the tropics and that beach forecast. We're updating you on some of these wildfires that we've been showing you. It's been happening over in the Mediterranean region. Some sites and reports coming in from that region. And water safety, that's been a big concern. All these rip current issues that we've been talking about along the Gulf Coast. Some important information to pass along as we continue right here on First Alert Weather Extra.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day, Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
The First Alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day, Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Wes was just mentioning this summer we have had a lot of incidents with rip currents down along the Gulf Coast. So we wanted to check in with meteorologist Fred Hunter and meteorologist Matt Daniel for an update on how we can stay safe with the beach this summer.
Hey Fred, you know it's hot outside. One way to cool down is go in the water, but you got to be safe.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be doing that. And I know you've got some of the water safety tips. You want to talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, sure. The big one that we always talk about, Fred, of course, is when there's a thunderstorm, you need to go away. If you hear the thunder, if you see the lightning, when thunder roars, you want to go indoors. You got to stay safe with that.
And of course, the Coast Guard approved personal flotation devices, which kind of leads me into what today is, and one of the reasons that we are here, and that is this is, Matt, International Drowning Prevention Day. And of course, those Coast Guard approved personal flotation devices are very important. Now, let's look at the safety tips if you are going down to the Great Gulf Coast. Very similar as you might imagine, but you know, you should always swim in designated areas, that is near a lifeguard. And Matt, I would be remiss if I did not mention this was given to me by Becky Bryant and the Orange Beach safety patrol there, and the patrol there is called Molly's Patrol. There's a reason for that. It's a very personal thing for Becky. Molly was her 15-year-old daughter who drowned at the beach. She was caught in an undertow, and so that's again another reason, and she and her husband helped to establish the beach patrol there at Orange Beach. And how serious is it? Well, we have a graph here that will show you exactly how serious when we talk about undertow. Rip currents, of course, the #1 cause of weather-related deaths at the beach. Matt talked about the thunder and the lightning, but the rip currents are very real. So how do you avoid this? Well, you should know the meaning of these flags which fly at the beach. There's an explanation posted every few feet, it seems like. The purple flags, dangerous marine life, more often than not at our Gulf Coast. That refers to jellyfish. So, you should avoid the water then. And the red flags, of course, mean a very high hazard. The double red flags mean that the beach is open, but the waters are closed, so you definitely should stay out. And one final thought here, Matt, people may be saying, well, exactly what is a rip current? Well, it's simply a river of water as the water flows back out. So what do if you are caught in a rip current? The lifeguards that I've spoken with say, #1, relax. The rip current is going to relax as it gets further from the beach, and then when you're able to, swim parallel to the beach and away from the rip currents, and let people know that you are in trouble. So again, in honor of Molly and the Bryant family and International Drowning Prevention Week, we just want you to stay safe, whether you're going to the pool, to the lake, or to the beach.
All good advice, Fred. Thank you for that. And I know it's easier said than done, but sometimes when you're stuck in a rip current, it's hard to stay relaxed and calm. But
most people panic.
Yeah, that's the best advice. We saw a lot of issues with rip currents along the Gulf Coast just a month ago.
Right.
So take it easy.
Thanks for that important information, guys. Well, it's not just the Gulf Coast that's been dealing with some summer hazards. Extreme heat is expected to expand into the Midwest and Northeast in the coming days as dozens of wildfires rage across 10 states in the U.S., with more than 1,000 wildfires in Canada prompting air quality alerts here at home. Now people in the Midwest are dealing with devastation from severe thunderstorms. Ivan Rodriguez has the latest on the extreme summer weather across the country.
Heavy machinery brought in to move massive chunks of debris after buildings have been reduced to rubble by a suspected tornado in Missouri. In Wisconsin, strong storms packing destructive winds ripped the roof off of a building, knocking out power for several thousand people. Meanwhile, extreme heat calling for extreme actions. A father smashing out a windshield in Texas, pulling his infant to safety through a hole in the glass after accidentally locking the keys inside with the baby. Over the next week, roughly 55 million will see triple-digit temperatures, and more than 85% of the U.S. population will experience heat above 90 degrees.
But these high temps, it's just hard to breathe. This is hard to breathe, hard to take in.
Extreme heat is expected to expand into the Midwest and Northeast, where many places aren't built to beat the heat.
I think we're certainly more attuned to looking for those signs of heat illness and thinking about it more often.
In Arizona, people enduring record-shattering triple-digit temperatures were forced from their homes by a new threat, a raging wildfire, one of nearly 40 that's burning in the U.S.
It was really just grab valuables or whatever means the most for us.
In Canada, there's nearly 1,100 wildfires burning, more than 650 considered to be out of control. And smoke from those fires has led to Chicago and Minneapolis being amongst the 10 most polluted cities globally. I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Meanwhile, in weather across the world, an 88-year-old woman died outside of Palermo, Sicily, because doctors were not able to reach her due to raging wildfires in Italy. The heat is priming the landscape for fires in Palermo. More than 40 fires broke out in Sicily Monday night, including one at a landfill that produced poisonous fumes, according to the Italian Fire Brigade. More than 1,500 people have been evacuated from the affected region, and several homes have been damaged. Palermo's airport was closed for several hours on Tuesday due to the fires, but reopened later this morning, with flights from major airlines now being allowed to land and take off, but with no major delays. So firefighters have been deployed from the UK and Greece to assist with the ongoing wildfires on the Greek Isle of Rhodes. Extreme heat and strong winds continue to fuel the flames. 19,000 people were evacuated over the weekend as the fires reached coastal resorts. And also Turkish firefighters were deployed there as well. But now wildfires happening in Turkey. They erupted Monday night across Turkey's southern Mediterranean coast. According to the municipality's statement, local officials said nearly 450 acres of land were affected, and the fire has yet to be brought under control due to the steep terrain and influence of northerly winds. The Turkish Minister of Agriculture and Forestry said that wildfires continue due to high temperatures and low humidity. A total of 10 residences near the fire were evacuated. 6 people are being treated at the hospital for smoke inhalation. Well, Typhoon Doksuri made landfall in the northern Philippines just a few short hours ago, bringing storm surge, powerful winds, and flooding rainfall. Doksuri currently has sustained winds at 140 miles per hour. That's the equivalent of a Category 4 Atlantic hurricane. Currently, the system is moving west at 12 miles per hour. Doksuri will eventually make a northwest turn, setting its sights on Taiwan and China as a weaker system over the next couple of days. Though the country has been dealing with drought conditions, forecasters in Taiwan predict over 2 feet of rain could fall, possibly leading to landslides in mountainous areas. Well, coming up here on First Alert Weather Extra, no typhoons in our forecast, instead very dry. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt will have an update on the 7-day, and I'll take you beyond the 7-day to let you know if there's any tropical mischief around. Coming up next.
We heard the first alert. Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be in your tornado safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late. That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team, always on your side.
The First Alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert weather.
All right, time for our First Alert 7-day forecast, and rain chances minimal over the next several days. We will have some hotter conditions for the weekend and into next week, but the heat index is still right there, 100 to 105. We're not getting into that excessive heat warning level just yet. But it is going to feel, look, it's hot right now. It's going to stay quite steamy out the door Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. You can see there 60s to the east, close to 70 in areas, especially further west. And then by lunchtime, close to 90. So it won't take long for those temperatures to start to heat up again there. 94 Tuscaloosa. Maybe an isolated afternoon pop up, but just not expecting much for tomorrow. We did see one lone shower, actually a couple lone showers today. today. But plan on watering the yard tomorrow. And the temperatures, we could get close to 96, 97 in some areas. The heat index, though, won't go far above 100. So that's the one thing. I know it's not not a major relief out there, but that's pretty much all we have there as far as any sort of help in the heat department. You can see over the next several days the heat index there staying. We might get to heat advisory range, which is 105 Thursday, Saturday, and into the weekend. But the dew points are mostly going to stay in the 60s, low 70s, so that's going to help us out here with the heat index. But if we go a little bit higher, we might be talking about some first alert weather days. You get into, dangerously high 110 to 115. That's what we were seeing last week, and that's why so far the temperature is staying just below the advisory range. So in the tropics, we have a lot going on here. You look at this map and the Hurricane Center, what they do now, they issue what these outlooks on systems that may develop. These are not even tropical depressions at this point. So you look out here and you're like, wow, things are heating up. It's just a couple of disturbances that we're watching. We have one that's interesting cloud pattern with this. That's off the East Coast. We've got a high pressure ridge over us. So I think if there's one system out of all of this that we need to watch, it's this one right here. As it moves back towards the Bahamas over the next few days, it may become better organized. If that happens, though, it's still going to stay over the Atlantic. I'm not expecting this to enter into the Gulf of Mexico, so that won't be a problem here in the Gulf. There is Invest 95, which is now over the Caribbean. It's being investigated. We have enough model data to tell us that this is going to maintain a westerly course. And with all these systems, less than a 30% chance for development over the next 5 days. And then an easterly wave is moving off the coast of Africa. And once it starts to move in closer to the Caribbean, there's a chance that it may try to organize. So that's what we have there. Multiple systems that we're watching out over the Atlantic basin. And if anything looks suspicious, we'll certainly let you know about it. But at this point, no depressions, no named tropical systems. It's been one of those years, but I will tell you the season reminds me a lot of that season with Michael. You remember we didn't see a lot of activity, and then we had that one hurricane, and it was a record setter. It was a bad hurricane that moved in Category 5. So, we need to certainly keep an eye on all this, especially as we get into August, into September. But at this point, I'm not seeing anything that really stands out. Thursday, Friday, again, the heat. Highs, upper 90s, heat index 100 to 105, overnight lows in the 70s. And for the weekend, we're talking about just a 20% chance for a few isolated afternoon pop-ups. So for those weekend plans, just very isolated rain chances. How about beyond the 7-day forecast? I want to head over to meteorologist Lauren Linehan. And Lauren, I was looking at some of the long-range data, some of the meteograms, and some of the guidance, and I was seeing a couple models that were showing 100 degrees for next Tuesday, although right now we're still keeping it around 96, but we may see a couple of areas early next week there close to 100.
Yeah, Wes, we'll have to see how it pans out. Definitely a lot of the data has been suggesting, we could hit 100 over the next few days. But honestly, we've been seeing actual temperatures running a little bit below guidance. So it's something we're going to be watching. But hey, that's why we're here as forecasters and meteorologists to help decipher that data and say, well, that may not actually be the case. But regardless, it does look like above average temperatures are going to be in the forecast, whether that's upper 90s or triple digits. So you can see across the south and even into parts of the west, definitely looking at above average temperatures 6 to 10 days from now. And here's that data that Wes was talking about. Whew, looks pretty steamy next week. Now I say steamy, it doesn't look like the mugginess is going to be too bad just yet, but what we've been seeing, we've been talking about a ridge of high pressure that's been off to our west. It looks like that ridge is really going to start to build over the southeast as we get into next week, next weekend. So if that does indeed happen, that could really help to amp up our temperatures, because thus far we've kind of been on the periphery of it. So this could certainly change the game for us a little bit. And then as far as those morning lows, definitely looking mild as we go into next week. The one time you can see maybe temperatures getting into the 60s is if you get a little bit of drier air to nudge in here. But what about that precipitation forecast? Well, the rainfall outlook 6 to 10 days from now still shows the possibility of below average rain chances across Alabama. And if we do indeed see a strong hold of a ridge of high pressure building in, that could help to put a lid on rain chances, but likely won't be lasting forever. So let's look ahead here to beyond the 7-day. Here we are next Wednesday, August 2nd. Crazy to believe we'll be in August, but notice if you look here at the mid-level flow in the atmosphere, there is a ridge there that has built over the southeast. So if we're underneath that ridge, we could see a few little pop-up showers and storms into the afternoon hours, but I think generally it looks like that ridge would limit a lot of activity. So going into that Wednesday, showing a few more showers and storms bubbling up under that ridge, but generally that ridge having a strong hold. It looks like possibly as we got into later next week, here we are Friday, maybe that ridge begins to break down a little bit. We see a few disturbances moving through, and so scattered showers and storms possible as we get into next weekend, possibly seeing a ridge develop more to the east, and if we're on the west side of that ridge, we could get some southerly flow that could end up eventually bringing a better chance of rain. So that's certainly something to watch, and as Wes mentioned too, we're going to be watching here in the days ahead around the tropics to see if we do see anything trying to skirt with the southeast U.S. coast. This latest model run, which there are going to be many of these in the days ahead, is certainly not looking too promising. So they just kind of go back and forth, and you have to take these model runs 7 to 10 days from now with a grain of salt. But nevertheless, we do see beyond the 7-day that is going to be hot. So why don't we show you some cute video of some zoo animals trying to keep it cool in Minnesota. Check these out. Man, oh, I'd love me some crushed ice right now. You know, Chick-fil-A has really good crushed ice. May have to check that out. So these zoo animals in Minnesota, we're trying to keep cool. You got the ostriches, you got the polar bears. The ostriches have a good idea with the sprinkler system. You know, you're probably going to have to be breaking out the sprinkler system here in the days ahead. We got the sea lions there enjoying themselves. Wonder how the sea lions who were here at the Birmingham Zoo are doing now that they moved up north. We got the lion there. Man, may need to get a buzz cut with that mane, or maybe go with a mullet for this time of the year. But another way you can keep cool is to head down to the beach. I know a lot of you will be squeezing in some last-minute beach vacations before you head back to school. So let's check in with Mickey Ferguson and meteorologist Matt Daniel for that coast forecast.
So Mickey, school's coming up sooner than later.
I know. I bet you a lot of families out there are planning one last trip to the beach before school starts.
That's right, and teachers are getting ready for school as well. So
teachers too.
We're talking about the beach, and we're going to talk about what to expect over the several days. I'm just going to note the sea surface temperatures.
Pretty warm.
They're very warm and toasty. We're looking at mid to upper 80s along the Gulf Coast, and even warmer in the Gulf. And by the way, Mickey, I don't know if you knew this, but in the Florida Keys, right off the Florida Keys, they're getting temperatures, sea surface temperatures near 100 degrees.
They're getting keyed off there.
That's not bath water. That's hot tub water.
That's crazy, man.
That's some hot stuff right there.
All right. Well, your beach forecast, if you're headed to the Gulf Coast, we're looking at dry conditions to kick off the rest of the week. Going into the weekend, a little bit more moisture, but just a 20% chance of rain. I'd certainly go to the beach based on that forecast.
Yeah, not bad at all. That looks very nice. And by the way, the rip current threat, not too bad either. Now, it's a low threat according to the National Weather Service, but if you're going to go out to like Gulf Shores, for instance, you're probably just going to see that yellow flag, that moderate rip current threat. Just saying, use caution if you get in the water, but we're looking at pretty decent conditions with those water temperatures in the mid 80s.
Crazy warm. Now, the UV index is off the chain here, Matt, so we really need to take precautions when it comes to sun exposure.
That's right, 10 to 11. That's in that very high to extreme range. And just a reminder, when it comes to that extreme risk, you got a very likelihood you're going to get some harm if you're exposed to that sunshine. So just make sure you use extra protection, light clothing, hat, and make sure you apply that sunscreen, at least a SPF 15 plus, at least every 2 hours. Yeah. They even recommend avoiding the outdoors between 10 and 5, but especially for those who are light skinned and burn easily.
When it gets like that, I'm under the umbrella and got one of those long sleeve shirts on with a hat, sunglasses, so I'll stay protected. Gulf Coast beach forecast, not a whole lot of rain headed our way over the next few days. So like we said, good time to go if you know, just protect yourself from the UV. A little bit better rain chance as we get into the weekend.
Yeah, but overall, the Weather Prediction Center not showing a lot of rain there. So it's just going to be hit or miss kind of thing. Probably more miss than hit. But since I just said that, that means they're going to get a lot of rain probably. But
well, it shows a little bit higher for the weekend. Not much, 30 to 40% rain chance there. But our highs and lows, highs at the beach are actually cooler than what we're expecting here at home.
Yeah, so it's actually going to be very nice. A little bit of a sea breeze coming in from the south-southeast. Highs near 90, lows near 80. And that looks really good. You know what also looks really good? When people send us some really nice photos.
I like it. Not hopefully not sunburn pictures.
We don't want that. But if you got a beautiful sunrise, sunset, maybe a cool storm in the distance when you're safe, take those photos at the beach and send it through the First Alert weather app.
And y'all know better than to send a blurry photo too, because I've seen a few of those. Hey, my phone also takes blurry photos. I've dropped it enough, but if you have any good photos, we love to see them. And hey, we love to use them as the weather backgrounds on our forecast. So if you can flip it horizontal, bonus points. Well, tonight you can check back in with Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt for an update on the forecast on First at 9. And join us here on Weather Extra every weeknight at 6:30 on your favorite streaming platform. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy It's a Wednesday. It is. It's Wednesday evening. Oh, it's Tuesday? Oh my gosh, is it really Tuesday? Oh no, well, I'm gonna go cry in the corner now.